Wouldn't it be nice to have a personal assistant who would have a suitable answer to each of your questions? That's exactly what is now possible. ChatGPT is a chatbot with artificial intelligence that you can ask anything to give you a suitable answer to everything, whether it's professional or private. Today I want to show you the basics of SESI, that is, how to use it correctly, and then I want to show you how you can use artificial intelligence to do it. To save time and effort in your profession in the future. I would also like to show you how, for example, you can use artificial intelligence to create your own stories or cover letters, the artificial intelligence in his own hands, so to speak. If that's what interests you, then it's best to stay tuned now when you chat for the first time. OpenAI.com. Go down left video description. You will be asked to log in or register via your mask. If you do not have an account yet, you can simply click on register and simply enter your data here either via email, Google or Microsoft. Please note that OpenAI are the founders of SESI, an American company, and need your email, address and phone number when creating your account. They will send you a registration link via SMS. So please consider for yourself whether you want to give your personal data to an American company in the artificial intelligence industry. Logged into ChatGPT for the first time, the user interface looks exactly like this. On the left side, I would just like to briefly note that you have a dark mode with which you can make the whole thing light or dark. The program also has a few limitations. For example, it may occasionally give out false or uninformed information. It can't know everything. Also, it may not give you certain information. That means it can't tell you how to build a special weapon. In addition, artificial intelligence only fed with information before 2002 and 20, so it cannot tell any information about current political or global things. That's basically everything. We start now with ChatGPT. The first thing we can enter, for example, is 10 plus 10, then we wait briefly. The answer of 10 plus 10 is 20. Basically, KIT is an American and English program. That means there are also English answers, but of course you can also write German things in, and there are also German answers. If I now say, for example, the answer of 10 plus 10, 20, I can say now, for example, and half. After that we wait briefly, and then the answer will give us that half of 10 plus 10 is 10. He has now understood we write on German, therefore writes us back on German. Also he understood we asked 10 plus 10 and he has us 20 returned. I only asked for half here. I didn't ask what half of 20 is, but he understood that we talked about 20 in our conversation, and therefore you can say below 10 is half. Out of 20, if I now click, for example, on the top left on New Chat and now write in here what is half and enter press, then he does not understand what I am talking about. The reason for this is that jets are self-contained. That means if I am with the chat in a chat speak, does he know exactly what we talked about it? But if I start a new chat, then he has deleted all information from the last chat. Basically, he understood this question in such a way that he simply explains to us what half of a set is. Of course, also a useful answer. This is perhaps very generic, and you have now understood how chats work in themselves. But now maybe we're wondering about concrete things. Click on new chat and question, what could I cook next Sunday? Question mark. After he gave us some dishes to choose from, he had also said below we should please eat a balanced diet and please take enough nutrients such as proteins, carbohydrates or fats. Very nice advice. However, I want to eat the chickpea curry today. That said, I now want to have a shopping list and recipe for this curry. That means I'm writing in now. Please give me a shopping list and a recipe for the second dish. If I had to send that, so understand the fact that I am talking about the second dish, i.e. chickpea curry, he understands that in this case. Here we need a cup of chickpeas directly. He will now give us back first the shopping list and then the recipe for this dish. After a few minutes he returned us a complete recipe including a shopping list for our curry. For example, you could say, okay, he probably just stole a recipe and shopping list from some website or blog, then there really wouldn't be much artificial intelligence in it. That's why we test the whole thing now a little more closely. I click on New Chat and let me now write a completely new story of the ChatGPT. Tell me a story about an enchanted trumpet. I guess there aren't many stories about an enchanted trumpet. That's why we look at what he has in store here. One day he found an old dented trumpet at the flea market. Okay, I think we are going in the right direction. He has now created his own story about an enchanted trumpet for us within a minute. I think that's really cool. I can imagine writing my own bed stories of OpenGPT in a few minutes. Another private benefit is, for example, the creation of trainings or meal plans. I have a pain at the end of my knee and would like to do exercises daily. Please give me a weekly schedule. After he is happy that we are doing something for our health, he immediately creates a complete training plan for the entire week. Starting from Monday with the calf lift and the squats over Tuesday, etc. This means that you can have your own trainings, but also nutrition plans created here. Now that we've talked about things that can be useful in your private life, I want to show you what he can do in his professional aspect. To do this, I just click on New Chat. BT can be killed. A lot more than such things, he can also program in all programming languages. This means, for example, if I want to create an Excel macro or program any things in HTML and CSS, ChatGPT can help me. For example, I want to create a simple to-do list in HTML, CSS and JavaScript. I have now kept the input very simple. Do not program me to-do list with HTML, CSS and JavaScript after he has briefly given us the project description. That's when he starts writing new code. Now, unfortunately, we have briefly encountered a problem, namely you have started to describe the HTML above. That means body in here and so on, and down here he started programming. However, the entire request was too long and he automatically stopped it. The problem with this is that he can't give back too much at once. However, he knows what else he would have written. That's why I can just write now, please keep writing. Now he tells me okay, everything clear. I continue to write, of course, and give us back the rest of the code. Here he has the LI and there he starts to continue programming. That is, if he stops in the middle of the answer, just ask that he program the rest as well. Now he has dusted off again briefly. But I won't go any further now, because I think you got it. Even if you have no idea about HTML, CSS or JavaScript, you now have a code here that you can easily include and create your own to-do list without. You have ever programmed, you can easily program. Of course, this is just a simple application. Of course, you can continue this as advanced programming and tinker with the much more complex and difficult code. If you give him the right inputs up here, you can of course also program new tables for Excel, for example. I can now write in give me an example table to practice the S reference. Still thinking about it for a moment, a small table gave us back and told us below how we can simply practice the S reference here. We can now simply mark the table and easily insert it back into Excel and continue working there. This means that it is also well suited for what KT can also do very well, is to write things that you do not know how to start. For example, I can write an application document and not know how to start here. Please write me an application for a job as a junior controller. Maybe I don't know how I start such a letter and how ChatGPT can help me after he is finished with our application. I can read here. I have successfully completed my studies in economics, which means that you see he sometimes writes things about it here, which of course are not true. However, you have to admit that he doesn't know what you really studied. Then you can, for example, write again and say I did not study economics. In other words, I have now given an answer that is quite simply applicable to this text here. Just think about it again and write us the application again without mentioning that we have studied something. In that case, just tell us here, please insert what we have studied and what relevant skills we have. He probably thinks, if you haven't studied this, how are you going to work? Even the artificial intelligence doesn't know what to do. In order to maybe help students and schoolgirls, I would like to show you how you can summarize certain books here. For example, you can go to new chat to first ask questions. Do you know the book? Faust, I ask this first always so you know the book, because if you say, for example, write me a summary about the book Faust, it can often be that he says I unfortunately cannot access the internet, or I do not have the last information, and I can give you the do not give information. That's why I always ask first if he knows the book, that he remembers that he really read the book. In this case, a small summary gives us a small summary of what this book is about. In fact, GT knows the contents of very many books. That is, if you have any synopsis or if you have to write any summaries of classics, then you can definitely do that in here. Please write me a summary with 300 words, and in a few seconds he wrote us a 300-word summary for the book. Other things that can also be done, for example, he can tell it very well jokes. Tell me a funny joke. I'm really curious about it. Here is a funny joke. Why do cats always have the last word? Because they always me. I must say okay, I must confess, everything can. Neither does this artificial intelligence, but maybe in a few years it will be funny and then it can really do everything. For the first video, that's all I wanted to show you about ChatGPT. If you have any questions, comments or tips and tricks on how to use the tool, please write me in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, consider doing so. It's free and you can change your mind at any time. Please also let me know in the comments below if you would like to see more videos about BTS. I am glad that I was able to help you. See you again in the next video.